beginnings to raising the future, achieving success along the way. We'll never back down, because we are here to race.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
To get the most eyes on your vehicle, you need the best that the rest will see. At Lightning Wraps, you get the best at an affordable price compared to the rest. Be sure to check us out on Facebook for more information.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lightning eSports Arca Series. We're just moments away from getting the green flag. Tonight's race is at Chicagoland Speedway, the first race in the playoffs for these drivers, and I think they're pretty excited to take it on tonight. It's going to be an interesting race throughout tonight's competition. And I think we're set up with a really good field size here again. I'm Oscar Jensen, and this is Bryce Shoemaker joining me with tonight's race once again. And Bryce, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. This is going to be a big challenge for these drivers to kick off tonight. You have Chicagoland, then Gateway for the first round of 10. So I'm definitely very excited. I can't wait to see how these drivers take on tonight and how they race differently compared to the regular season.
Well, as these drivers are pretty much ready to get going, let's go ahead and go down this starting grid. Robert Kahn has been pretty unstoppable these past couple of races. So has Bud Shear. Those two are going to make up row number 1. And what I mean by that is those two have pretty much been up front. Timothy Causey, Owen Russell, row 2. Rusty Jordan, Michael Ware in row number 3. Heading into row number 4, we'll have Truth Hoke and Barry Nelson to his outside. Back in row number 5, we'll have Christian Shriver. He'll be joined by Jeffrey Ledford. Then in row number 6 will be Jesse Fox and Hayden Cookhausen. And then right behind them in row number 7 will be the other Cookhausen. That's Brandon Cookhausen and Sebastian Chanel. And then in row number 8, it will be Kevin Baker joined by Mike Rideout. And then in row number 9, we'll have Chantel Patel and Michael Chanel. And then, rounding out the field, it will be Sean Burke and Jason Henry. So, kind of like, you know, we were talking about last week. I mean, it's really going to be an interesting playoff race here. To begin things off, Bud Shear with 4 wins on the season. Robert Kahn, last season's champion. I know Robert Kahn, you know, is going to do everything in his power to defend this championship, but Bud Shear has been looking to be on fire. And I don't know, Bryce, who your pick is, but I'd have to say if I'm going to pick somebody, it's probably going to be Bud.
Yeah, Bud is definitely a good pick. I'm going to go with Robert Kahn, defending champion. Already he has momentum on his side. He got pulled tonight, so he has that momentum. We don't see many mistakes out of Robert Kahn either, so those will definitely be the top 2 to watch. But I'd have a watch on some of these other drivers that are looking. You know, points are reset here. Everything's even. And now these guys have a fair shot. They're going to give it everything they have tonight.
And that'll be 11 drivers who will be going through with that one wild card being the 11th. But right now, green flag, we're racing, and we'll gonna be sitting tight for this one. Bud Shear with the points heading into turn 1 and 2. Side by side for second place, that's Timothy Causey and Robert Kahn. Three wide heading to turns 1 and 2. That's Rusty Jordan in the middle, and the 55 and the 7 there as well. Those 3 drivers still not giving any room to one another, going down the backstretch, and they're going to remain 3 wide as we head into turn 3 and 4. Very aggressive early on, but that's what these playoffs are going to bring for these drivers.
Yeah, right now this is no better track to keep things off. Chicagoland is one of my favorite mile and a half on the schedule. Every lane works here. You run bottom, middle, top. It looks over aggressive, but it's actually very easy to do here without even killing the tires. So they're putting on a good show. All 3 lanes look pretty even right now. Exit off of 2 and 4 right now. Third high line is working really good. So putting on a very good show, very clean so far, and these guys think they have right now.
The 17 of Timothy Causey tried to go to the outside of Bud Shear there for the race lead, and unfortunately wasn't able to carry the momentum forward and is going to fall back into second. Robert Kahn now getting pressure from Ledford for this third position, and that bottom side will definitely help you save tire the longer these runs go on. But you do have to use that high side if you want to make passes, as we see right now. That's what this 17 car is doing. He's using that high side to try and get the run off the top, and if he's able to make it work, as we have the car in the wall, that's the 7 of Rusty Jordan. As you try and utilize that high side, you're going to be able to, you know, make up a lot of time, but you're also going to hurt those tires, and that's going to really be a factor in this race. If we do get a long run and we don't have any cautions that really separate the long runs up, I'm curious to see if Timothy can hold on now that he's got clean air. He's probably going to want to go a little bit easier, as Butcher washed up there, had to get off the gas, and he's going to lose 1 if not 2 spots down this back straightaway.
Yeah, we talked about it all season long. Robert Kahn, Bud Scher being the top tier drivers. We usually say you want to save your tires, run the bottom, but when you have 2 drivers that are just dominating the way they do, you just can't do the same thing they're doing. You have to get that clean air. You got to try to stay ahead of them at all costs if possible, and that's what these drivers are doing, especially with the playoffs starting now. Obviously, we haven't seen Bud Scher or Robert Kahn leave the bottom just quite yet. As I said, that they are side by side right now for P4, but they know what they're doing. They're running the bottom, they're running that white line, they're harvesting, as they say in real life. So I like what they're doing. I also like what Timothy and these other guys are doing, running the high side, pulling away from these guys as well. So it's going to be interesting, definitely, once we get 15, 20, 25 laps into the run, to see how much these tires start dying off for these race leaders.
And a quick 70 laps here. I mean, we're going to more than likely have to pit. And that's going to be another whole set of tails here. I mean, it's not the easiest pit road, but it's also not the hardest. So, you know, this is going to be the topic of discussion through these next couple of races, as we are in the first race of the round in these playoffs. It's going to be who can minimize the most mistakes, as we see a little bit of a moment right there from Robert Kahn sliding up into Michael Ware, and those 2 drivers able to hang on to it. But that was a scary moment right there for a second. And minimizing your mistakes is going to be the name of the game. You saw those 2 drivers right there almost had a little bit of an incident, but able to reduce what could have been significantly worse. So I think you're going to see a lot more respect out of some of these drivers between one another, but you're also going to have to be mindful of who's actually going for the championship and who's just racing to collect wins.
Yeah, back on board with Jeffrey Ludford. He's side by side with Timothy Cosby for the race lead right now. He started in the P10. He's definitely our biggest mover of the race so far. I hope he didn't hurt his tires too much, as Bud Scher goes underneath now for the battle for P2. Yeah, he's done a really good job. Not the best qualifying effort for a playoff driver, but that did not matter. He quickly made his way to the front, so hopefully he didn't kill his tires too quick as he moves back to the top side, just to keep that momentum, keep that P2 spot.
+8 for Ledford. Another driver who is also up 8 positions is this 90 Michael Chanel, and you know, he was also one that has had a few good races. He's got 1 win under his belt. We haven't really heard too much about him throughout the season. He's just he's been consistently up front, at least in the top 10. He's had some bad luck here and there, but I mean, +8 with only 13 men. That's signs of a fast race car and a fast driver.
Yeah, I love drivers like Michael Chanel. They're quiet all season long, and those are the drivers that if you don't pay attention, you have a bad race. Michael Chanel is going to be one of those drivers that easily takes advantage and will be up there contending for this championship later in the playoffs. So Michael Chanel is definitely someone to keep your eyes on. He's going to be up there We already seen it back qualifying effort, went already +8, moving forward up to P9 now. So definitely just keep an eye on. You don't want to not pay attention to him. He'll be up there for sure.
Michael Ware, Christian Shriver, those two getting a little bit close right there through 4, and that's going to open up the door for Orrin Russell to take a look to the inside, and they're beating there just a little bit of a nudge. I'm not quite sure if Michael Ware knew that Orrin Russell was going to be there that quickly. Able to hang on to it though. And that's another part of this track is you get to use that front stretch apron. You don't really get to use that like some other tracks, and that really is a trouble spot as well. I mean, if you get 3 or 4 wide and trying to merge back up on the track before you get into turn 1, it can create a bit of chaos, but those drivers were able to adjust and fix, and now Orrin Russell is gonna kind of slide back in here for 11th, and then he'll have some ground to make up after that slide. But overall, I mean, that could have been a lot worse, and he's going to go to work on Sean Berg and Jesse Cox in front of him.
Yeah, you might not think it, but using these trivals on these mile and a halves like that, there's sometimes not a lot of grip, especially when you get late in the run and your right rear and all that, your rear tires are overheated. If you're actually slipping and sliding using that, you can definitely slide up. So even at a track like this, using that tri-oval, it can pay you a lot of a handful going through that transition and all that. So impressive save for sure. And sometimes even just not using that tri-oval to save your tires a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a lot of, if we do get a caution or another restart, we'll probably see drivers utilize that a little bit more than we'd see them later in this race as this run goes on. I mean, it makes up a little bit of time. I just, like you said, I don't know if it's worth the risk to use it if you're going to use a little bit of tire up. I mean, every ounce of tire pretty much adds up pretty quick here, so probably don't want to be too aggressive on it. But this field, I mean, we've got a lot of racing going on. It seems like a lot of these guys are settling in and now trying to just click off spots. Bud Sheard up to second, lost the spot there, able to get around Jeffrey Ledford. And now he's going to go back to work and try and get the race lead away from Timothy Causey as we head into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, we're over 20 laps into this run now. We're going to start to see the big comers and goers, as Chicagoland is one of the tracks with the most tire wear on the service. So we're definitely seeing it. Cars are not rotating in the center. That's the big thing you're going to see here. Is drivers getting tight, especially in dirty air in the center of the corner, and then they're going to get loose off as we're wrecking on the front stretch. Big wreck.
And wreck here, as just as we were talking about it, it looked like there's a few guys that had a little bit of a moment coming off of 4 there. And now it's going to bring us our first caution. Multiple cars involved. Most of these guys, however, able to get away and continue on. The 7 of Rusty Jordan looks like he's going to have the most amount of damage. That car really not even able to drive around this track properly. You see that left front in... I don't know if it's in the air or on the ground, but he's got heavy front end damage to that machine.
Yeah, you hate to see that. That's our wild card driver that actually got into the playoffs based off the wild card. So I'm very unfortunate. He might go a lap down. He might have to tow. Obviously, we have the fast repair, but I think with the tow, he might go 2 or 3 laps down here. So he's going to definitely need a couple lucky breaks here once he gets back on the racetrack.
And we'll go take a look at this replay in just a second. Another one of those drivers involved is Christian Shriver, and he also has some front end damage. Not as significant as the 7 of Rusty Jordan, but enough to have to come down and maybe possibly use that fast repair, depending on how bad it is, but not a start that you want to have happen only 20-ish laps into this race. So let's go take a look at this replay and let's check out this incident from lap 22. So I think that's Jason Henry here in the 10 and the 6 of Michael Ware, and it looked like it kind of started with them. I mean, Henry, I think, maybe got a little bit tight, gave a little bit of a shot there to the 6, who did a great job at saving it, and just behind it kind of stacked up the rest of the field. Had to slow down. That's the 69 of Jesse Fox right behind him, had to check up, and the 76 of Mike Rideout, I think, was maybe possibly seeing an opportunity to make some ground up, and unfortunately kind of caused that later incident between him, the 55, and then the 14. And actually, as I take a look at it again, I don't know if he was actually going to try and pass the 69 or if he's maybe trying to avoid the 69. So, not going to put too much blame on him. Again, just kind of one of those things that starts in front of them. And unfortunately, nowhere for these drivers to really go. Again, right here, we'll take a look at it. A little bit of a bump there between the 10 and the 6. These drivers had to check up and... boom.
Yeah, that was just unfortunate for everyone involved there. Just a stack up there with the contact and trying to avoid and just run out of room there.
And Rusty Jordan, you know, like we said, getting the worst out of that, the wild card pick for the playoffs round number 1, and he's going to have a tough battle to have to come back through and try and make up some spots.
Well, Oscar, we saw a long run there. We've seen the drivers that attacked early in the run use the high line, didn't let Robert Kahn or Bud Shearer lead, and we didn't see them fall back. So I think we were just on the window of seeing drivers start to drop there, but that caution came out. So I'll be interested to see if these guys pushing harder using the high side, or if these guys try to save tires again on the bottom. It will be very interesting for when this caution came out.
Yeah, and you know, I think we're definitely going to see probably a repeat of the start, maybe a little bit more aggression with using the high side, now that these drivers kind of know what really they have and how the car is going to handle. Obviously, that doesn't mean they're going to go all crazy and we're going to see 4 wide, but I do think we'll see a few more drivers try and utilize this high side early to their advantage to try and gain some ground up. Field getting ready to start once again into the restart zone. Jeffrey Ledford going to lead him off and away. We're racing once again here from Chicagoland Speedway. A great jump for Ledford out front. He's going to be able to put a little bit of a difference between him and Bud Shear, but further back in the field, these drivers trying to get every position they can. That's Owen Russell on the top. The 87 of Kevin Baker as well.
We talked about it earlier, Michael Chanel, he's up to P4 now, starting the 18th position. He's doing a really good job climbing through the field. Obviously here, now that he has this cleaner air, it's going to handle different compared to back in the field where it handles much worse. So he's running the top side right now, right in the middle. He's going to try to conserve his tires as best as he can. I'll be interested. Can he get the third, second battle for the lead here and maybe lock himself into the next round?
And Bud Shear, as quick as Ledford pulled away, Bud Shear able to get back around for the race lead. And the 17 of Timothy Kazi is right there as well. And remember, Timothy was leading a handful of those laps before that caution. We'll see if he can catch up to Bud and take that lead away, as they're 3 wide for third place.
Yeah, these drivers are getting really racy now. We're approaching the halfway point of this race. 5 laps till we get to that point. These guys are definitely more 3 and 4 wide than compared to the earlier run. These races aren't long, only 70 laps in this race. So even on lap 30, there's just more take than there's going to be even this early in the race, but with it just being a shorter race in total. And, you know, only 2 races in each round, so it's not like you're going to have time to come back from a bad finish. You have to get a good finish here to advance into these later rounds in the playoff. That's just, we're going to see more aggressive driving. I'm not going to say dirty driving or anything like that, or where we're going to get physical, but just definitely more aggressive moves have to be made at this point in the season.
And just look at the mess back here from about 10th on back. These drivers, last time around, they were fanned out all across this front straightaway. Now a little bit more tame, but those drivers were 3 wide for, I'd say, the rest of the field on back, and that was pretty intense. This 91 had a little bit of a moment there with, I think it was Hayden Cookhausen as well, but these guys, even though they're maybe a little bit further back, like you said, they're going for everything that they possibly can, as the 94 just about went around with the help from Jeffrey Ledford, who is now falling back in hard
big wreck,
versus hat.
turn 1.
That's the 5 of Brandon Cookhausen. The 55 of Truth Hulk as well involved.
This one took out a lot of playoff drivers. This was a big one here.
Mike right out here coming through 3 and 4 on screen. He's got front end damage. I think Hayden Cookhausen was also involved. Looks like he had a toe. And I was just about to say, it looked like Jeffrey Ledford might have had some sort of issue, because he was falling through that field pretty quickly. And I wouldn't say he's what started the wreck, but he's definitely... I'm not quite sure if we had another checkup moment. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Jeffrey Ledford was involved in any way, but he definitely did drop through the field. We saw the battle for the lead early in the race, so I almost wonder if he took no tires or maybe right side tires, just trying to save a set of tires. Because I do know these drivers only get 2 sets for the whole race.
We'll have to find out on that, because I'm not quite sure either. We'll see if we can figure that out. Take another angle at this. Oh, the 2 of Hayden Cookhausen. looked like the 91 might have moved up, and Hayden was just trying to avoid making any contact and hit that wall, and then just nowhere for the 55 to go because of the slowed momentum. 55 again being Truth Hoke, and got shot right down into the 5 of Brandon Cookhausen, who took a hard hit into that outside wall. So, 2 incidents with some sort of issue in front of them that really causes 2 separate checkups for these drivers, and it's, Bryce, I know as a driver, it's kind of really hard to be able to see those incidents up ahead of you, and hard to, try and predict where to go. And not all of these drivers use a live spotter to help them out. Some of them do, but not all of them do. And if you don't have that live spotter who can actually see maybe 3-4 cars ahead of you, it's really hard from the cockpit to be able to see that kind of incident happen in front of you.
Yeah, I can't tell you how big it is to have a live spotter compared to the iRacing spotter, because especially in a track like this with the Arca car where it's really, really big on momentum, you might not be able to predict a run that a driver gets, especially a driver that's running the outside. And especially when you're trying to clear up, you can't see it. The iRacing spotter doesn't tell you anything until that driver gets to your outside, and I can guarantee you that he was not called a driver to the outside. He was probably being called clear the whole time with the iRacing spotter. So I can't really put that on anybody, and especially like you were saying, it's definitely big to have a live spotter. I can definitely say I've had you spot me in a couple races, and yeah, I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes. So yeah.
And that's, that can, like you said, I want to touch back on that momentum base, because it is very much a momentum based car, and like you said, things can happen really quickly, especially out in front of you. I mean, we've seen already 2 incidents, and when you get restarts and guys on fresher tires, things just happen that much quicker. You got guys trying to move around on the track, trying to get every spot, trying to find every little inch of momentum that they can get, and it's fairly difficult to be able to understand what's going to happen, hard to predict. And you see guys sometimes, maybe hanging back a little bit, but when the playoffs are on the line, you can't really hang off the field and try and avoid any wrecks that would happen. You have to be right there to gain every spot that you can. And right now, Bud Shear doing just that, as he's going to lead us into turn 1 and 2. Timothy Causey in second, but he's got the 87 of Kevin Baker to his outside.
I can tell you who was not happy for that caution today is Robert Kahn. I'm not sure if he's still in the saving type of race mindset right now, but I don't think I've seen him be aggressive yet on these restarts. And now he's all the way back to the 67, so we haven't seen him run up front like we're used to seeing, and he's just slowly fading back on each restart. So not the start that he's probably looking for, and I'm sure we get into this later phases of this race, we'll see him being more aggressive, but just kind of shocked to see that he's fading back in the second half of the top 10 here.
And Timothy Causey now facing some pressure here from the field behind him, as he's in 5th place. Again, he was one of those drivers early on in this race who had to kind of, been looking like he was a fan favorite, and now that he's kind of migrated back into traffic, we'll see if he can make up some of that lost time and spots. As Robert Kahn now going to be close racing with the 97 of Michael Chanel. 3 wide on the front straightaway. A little bit of rubbing there as well. Oh, the 94 got in the wall just a bit up front, or up top. That's Sean Berg.
So a name that we haven't really talked about yet in this race, and he's running P2 now, and that's Kevin Baker. One of the most fascinating things about playoffs and NASCAR and iRacing is Kevin Baker is not in the playoffs right now. He did not make it, and when it comes to NASCAR and playoffs, everyone continues racing even after they get eliminated from the playoffs. So kind of like morals get tested once the playoffs begin. And that's exactly what Kevin Baker's doing. He is in the middle of a hive here. He is racing a bunch of playoff drivers, and he's not in. And we're seeing him aero block a little bit, continue to be aggressive with the leader. So he's trying to do this fine balance of racing for himself, racing for a race win, but not altering the playoffs as well. Because obviously you don't want to be that non-playoff driver that gets involved with another playoff driver and maybe accidentally wrecks them or puts them in the wall or just puts him off from the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what Kevin Baker does here. He's battling these playoff drivers really hard, which I love to see, and we'll see how he progresses as we get down to the closing laps.
And that's a good all as they're 4 wide for a moment. That the 1 in the 0-5, I think that's Chantel had a little bit of a moment there going into 1 and 2. And then the 14, the 91, and the 0-1 able to stake it in there, make it 4 wide for a split second. Great job at holding on to that. But I want to go back to what you just said, and that's being a non-playoff driver, racing playoff drivers. And, it's always hard to do that because you have some sort of respect for these playoff drivers, but you're also out here to do good for your team, your sponsors, your own team, wants you to go out there and win, doesn't necessarily want you to change up your driving style just because you're not in a championship hunt. But you also do have to be very mindful, and in the few experiences that I've had with not making it into the playoffs, it can be a little bit down at some points. I mean, I'll give it straight 100%. It's a little bit harder when you see those guys out on track who, have a spot and have something to race for. But you also got to keep in mind that if you're in that position, what kind of respect would you want from other drivers? And so you really got to race it how you would want to be raced. And yeah, you still got to give your all, but you also don't want to go, like you said, you don't want to go over the top and cause any sort of issues for any playoff driver in that remark.
Yeah, going back to Kevin Baker here, he's side by side with Jason Henry, who is in the playoffs, and so he's giving plenty of room. You still see him battling hard, not giving an inch, not lifting or anything like that. But you can definitely see he's giving a lot of extra room, making sure he's not completely in the way and just competing as hard as he can. Doing a really good job, and for leagues, they always have trouble with keeping the race participation up, which for this league here in particular, the Lightning eSports, I mean, their field size is just as big as their first race. So just good props to the league. They put on a good show every week. The league size is really good. And, you don't have the playoffs, like you said. You're kind of down a little bit until you get into the race car and start racing itself. And, you always just got to appreciate drivers that stick it out the whole entire season, did the fight to these playoff drivers.
And this league is also very unique and different. You get a wild card drive round, and that is, you know, something, you know, like you said, you want to be able to hang around for it. You can't miss, I think, more than 2 races, or maybe, I can't exactly remember what it is, but still, either way, you're given a shot to at least potentially, you know, advance yourself with that wild card spot. And right now, like you said, Kevin Baker doing a great job at racing these guys up front and not being too much of a burden to those guys who are, you know, in these playoffs currently. As now Michael Chanel gonna slide into 3rd place, and Chanel looking really good right now.
Yep, like what we talked at the beginning of the show, Michael Chanel is just doing exactly what he needs to do. This is the first round. You don't have to do anything flashy. Bring it home top 5. Getting a good position for getting away from the elimination race and exactly that. Looking at Bud Shear, the race leader right now, I think this is the biggest we've seen the lead all night. We got about a 1.3 second lead, and he is, I don't think he's saving tires. I think he's going all out here, trying to see how big of a lead. We might have a pit stop, we may not. I'm not sure when that last caution came out, as we are actually starting to see some guys start to come down pit road. So, just as I was saying that, yeah, I think he's pushing as hard as he can for that pit stop.
And the first one of those drivers is going to be Timothy Causey here. Remember, he was up front there before we had that first caution. Obviously, he was running 2nd right there before he came down pit road, and I think this is a good call to try and undercut Bud Shear to try and get around him, or at least try and make up some time here, as now Bud's going to head down pit road. But I think it's a good call to at least undercut by 1 lap to try and get that little bit extra speed out of those tires while you can.
Yeah, all these drivers executing pit road right now. We did see Barry Nelson spin on the entry of pit road, got some front end damage, so we'll have to see how that affects him. It doesn't look too bad. The fender's a little bit separated, but he might be fine here.
Now Michael Chanel going to come down pit road. That'll cycle Jeffrey Ledford out front. Michael Ware will be 2nd. Again, green flag pit stops just now beginning, so this field is going to shake up a little bit. That's Robert Kahn at the bottom of the screen coming off of pit road. And we talked about a little bit earlier, entry isn't the hardest pit road to get on. Exit can be a little bit sketchy with those newer tires, this track being a little bit more worn out down there. You can get a little bit of wheel spin, you can also get a little sideways, so you got to be mindful when you're coming off the pit road on that apron to not gas it up too much and to not put too much wheel into it. You want to have the best execution on and off the pit road to gain as much time as you can. And as these green flag cycles continue, these guys back here for 3rd place, putting on a good show. Truth Hope, Mike Rideout, Rusty Jordan. Remember, Rusty Jordan took that hard hit earlier, took that crash repair, and now he's running in 5th position. Obviously, he still has to come down and take his set of tires with 14 laps to go, but right now, looking to be in a good spot.
So I want to go back to how you were saying that pit road entry is not hard but not easy at the same time. When you have a pit road entry that's not hard to get onto, that, in my opinion, can actually make it one of the hardest, as you have to be so aggressive to gain as much time as possible. Oh, we almost have a wreck on turn 1.
Oh, they're going to hang on to it.
I cannot believe that wasn't a caution. What a save by everyone to be involved in that. And we saw it was Bud Shear and Robert Connor, 2 favorites for the championship here.
Hayden Cookhausen as well, I think, was in that. I think actually went through the grass, able to hang on to it. He's 2 laps down, but a great save by those guys right there, which could have been a lot worse from what it actually was.
Back to what I was saying about pit road entry. What I was getting at is Bud Shear, even though he came in a lap later than Timothy Kazi, he actually doubled his gap. I think he got in pit road so much harder and cleaner. As the easy pit road entry can actually make you a little too conservative with how easy it can be. So Bud Shear did a great job doubling his gap, actually, even with Timothy Kazi pitting a lot before him.
Again, execution can be the key deciding factor in some of these races that we get green flag stops in, and still got a few drivers that will have to more than likely come down pit road. Jeffrey Ledford, Michael Ware, 1-2 out front for the time being. Then you have to go back a little bit of a ways before we get to our first driver on these newer tires. That's going to be Bud Shear in the 93 in 5th position. 1 lap down, but the leader's being right in front of him. He's either going to catch him on speed or catch him when these two decide to come down. And right now it looks like those top two are going to come down pit road. So that'll cycle the lead out to Bud Shear once again with just under 10 laps to go.
Yeah, I think they were hoping for a caution, just trying to get all cycled. There was no way they were going to get ahead of Bud Shear there. Definitely worth the gamble, just didn't work out. We almost seen the caution, actually, so it almost worked out, but they just did a good job at saving it. And unfortunately, just no caution, so give them praise for trying it. It was definitely worth the gamble, but looks like Bud Shear's going to have easy control of the race here.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's got the lead quite yet. Technically, he has to go up here and pass at least Jeffrey Ledford, who's coming off pit road right there. And now he will be cycled to the race lead. And this is going to be actually, I think there is going to be a close call right here between these two. I mean, Jeffrey Ledford is not that far back behind Bud Shear now. You see him in shot just over a second, and there's a 9-lap tire difference. And if Ledford can find some speed, he might be able to hunt down Bud here in the next 8 laps.
I was actually just looking at Ledford's pit stop. The reason why he's so close is he actually took fuel only there. He has not taken tires.
Alright, so fuel only right there. Alright, so that makes a little bit more sense. Still has a shot to try and catch Bud, but as it continues to go on, you can kind of see the gap now growing back to a little bit more space difference between where it probably would have been if we were comparing it to Timothy Kazi. So I like the new no tire call. It'll probably gain you a little bit of track position. It's just probably not going to get you the shot at the win unless we do see a caution.
Yeah, I think the worst Jeffrey Ledford will finish here is 6, and I actually think he's been way worse if he had taken 4 tires. So I definitely like the call he made. He took a gamble, it didn't work out. So why not just take another gamble just to get as good of a track, good finish as you can possibly get here. So I definitely like the call. I mean, overall he's going to gain positions. He's P2 right now. He'll probably fall to P6 tier, but still just really good for 2 gambles to pay off here. So props to Timothy Kazi for making these calls for Ledford.
As soon as you say Timothy Kazi, he's going to the outside of Ledford. Like you said, as long as Jeffrey doesn't have any mistakes or doesn't put himself in a bad position, he should be able to finish still in the top 6. As he almost had a little bit of a scary moment right there, but Jason Henry, Sean Berg going at it still. These 4 drivers of Kazi, Berg, Henry, and Nelson have been here all within a pretty small gap these past couple of laps and been all pretty evenly matched. So it's going to be a little bit of a task here for Ledford to try and hang on to at least 5th position, but he might have a shot depending on how racy these guys in front of him get.
Here's the thing, too. This is Chicagoland with the Arca car. The more laps that are run, the more the tires are going to actually equal out. Like you said, if these guys get racy, use up a little bit more tires, maybe they get themselves in a predicament where they both have to lift. We talked about momentum racing. Jeffrey Ledford could still actually gain position, though, so I wouldn't say it's out of the possibility realm. So, more laps that click off here, he might be able to get a finish. I mean, we haven't seen him drop to 6 yet, so that's just showing that the tires are evening out already.
Jeffrey Ledford trying to hang on to the top 5. Back up front, though, Bud Shear down the back straightaway. He'll go through 3 and 4, then see the white flag. And he's been on fire since the restart and has just continued to pull away from the field. White flag in the air this time by for Bud Shear. Will he add another win on this season? Right now, it's looking like he will, which would be win number 5 if he's able to hang on. Down the backstretch for one final time. Bud Shear through 3 and 4. And at the line, Bud Shear able to get it down once again. This time it'll be at Chicagoland Speedway. The domination continues for this 93 team. And boy, do they look like they are more than likely going to be the championship favorite if they aren't already.
Yeah, his number 1 competitor, Robert Kahn, was just off all night, it seemed like. He brought it home P13, and we just never seen him have the speed, so I'm not, maybe a lack of practice. I know sometimes if you think you have a handle on a track and the setup isn't what you think it'll be, and then it's completely different, you know, that could throw you off. So maybe Robert Kahn just had maybe too much confidence, and sometimes that can just come back to bite you. Definitely Bud Shear has just now separated himself as the clear number 1 favorite.
And we'll let Bud burn it down here at the start-finish line. And then, per usual, we'll be able to hear from a few of these drivers. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get Bud in here. Bud, you did it again for race win number 5. In what would be a pretty dominating fashion. You're able to get through those green flag pit stops without any issues. Or at least that one green flag pit stop without any issue. And able to manage the restarts pretty perfectly. Really, I mean, we thought it before, but this momentum is just continuing to carry on each week, and getting win number 5 on this season. I mean, what more besides the championship is in store for you?
I don't know. It's try not to get too into it. This doesn't happen very often, so try to enjoy it while it's happening, but she'll at some point come to an abrupt end and be back to a dry spell, but until then, I'm going to enjoy it. But yeah, I don't know, the first run there, we saved gas like the whole time. I was just clutching. and I was able to stay with the top 3 or 5. And then they obviously burnt their stuff up, and I stopped clutching, and then just drove back by them. And then we got that unlucky caution. I saved all that gas because I could have made it to about lap 30 or 31 instead of 24 laps. So we saved quite a bit under green that whole run. But that was thrown out the window when that caution came. And yeah, same thing again. Just kind of take it easy and keep them in eyesight and make sure you come on pit road really good. I made sure I got off of there really good. Con obviously took 2 or no tires because he came in behind me and then left just before me. However, we had some lap down cars, and we were also lap down, so we had lead lap cars. We had a bit of an issue at a 4, Con and I did, with a couple, and unfortunately, I hope that's not what dropped him back. Yeah, we were having a blast all race, and I don't like to see that, but yeah, another fun race that I probably shouldn't have won, but we got lucky and got the dub.
Yeah, and you mentioned a good point there. I mean, obviously it's the playoffs, and the aggression level is going to be a little bit higher between these drivers, and obviously, you know, with people not in the playoffs and other people in the playoffs, does it change does it change your driving standpoint as to how you race certain drivers, or is it just kind of go out there and just continue to do business?
So obviously there's a lot of new people here this season, and we're race 7, I think, so it's not like you have that much seat time with these guys yet. But I mean, for me personally, there's people that are better than me, there's people that are equal to me, and then there's people that are worse than me. So you try to, race the group that you're comparable to hard. The guys that are better, when they are better, I mean, yeah, defend your spot, but I mean, don't be banging doors and hitting the fence and taking them out, trying to race them. It's obviously they're in a different skill level. I think that if you worry about your own, division of driver, we'll say, you get less crashes. Because depending on the track, there's 3 or 4 people in here. If I see them coming up on me and we're on equal tires, everything's equal at that point, and I'm just outgunned, I'll just take the high lane and try to defend it. But I mean, obviously you're not going to risk anything. That's not who you're racing. So I think that's a big issue. However, playoff wise, I don't look at that at all. So obviously, if somebody is not in the playoffs wrecks you, I don't really get too mad. You're out here racing. I don't even like the playoff format, so I'm not going to encourage it.
Well, you like it or don't like it, right now you're looking great, and I don't really know how much higher the bar can be raised with this 93 team, and I don't want to jinx it too much, but right now being, I think we'd safe to say, the championship favorite, I think if we're able to continue to speak with you, it's probably a good thing, and excited to see if you can hang on through these playoffs and continue to what I would say is a spectacular season up to this point so far. Before I let you go, is there any sponsorships you'd like to thank or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Well, I would like to say before that, 21 and I have switched luck. So when he gets his good luck back and I reclaim my crappy luck, I think this will swing back to where it normally is, because Con's a lot better at 90% of the tracks we go to. So the only time I feel confident to beat him is a really short flat track or a road course. Other than that, he pretty much has me on every track we go to. Like I said, as you can see tonight, he just had a shit run of luck this whole season. But I'd like to give a big thanks to you guys for putting on this broadcast every week. Lightning Esports and Chantel and all the admins for making this happen. Everybody that comes out and makes a race actually possible. Good fun racing with everybody tonight. RBS Racing with Sean Burke. And yeah, we'll come back next week and see what we got.
Alrighty, bud. Well, thank you again for taking a minute to speak with us, and I hope we don't see you run into that bad luck so quickly, but I guess only time will tell.
Thank you kindly. You guys have a good one.
You too. That was race winner Bud Shear, and I think you made a really good point there. And it sounded like from that interview, he is very much championship mindset. You know, not making too aggressive of moves with the guys you maybe aren't too familiar with. Really, just racing the racetrack and racing the people that are around you. Wouldn't you say, Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard him talk praises about Robert Kahn and how those two go back and forth. So I think I heard more downs about Bud talking about himself. I don't think a dry spell and Bud Shear go together. So I'm not gonna believe that for 1 second. And we'll see those two compete for the championship all the way down to the final wire. And I think if Robert Kahn's luck comes back, I think the same exact luck is going to still be on Bud Shear's side. So I think it'll be a fun battle down the stretch.
It'll definitely be fun indeed to watch. Again, Robert Kahn being the defending series champion. Not good luck tonight for him, finishing in 13th. We're gonna go ahead though, and we are gonna pull up Sean Burke, who finished in 3rd position. And Sean Burke, good run for you tonight. Able to get through some chaos there at a few times. You know, not really having to be too involved in anything crazy tonight, and really, I mean, solid finish overall. Haven't really, I don't know if we've actually spoken to you really at all this season, but in the playoff hunt for this first round, really just go over your night and really how it was from your point of view.
Yeah, I've been pretty conservative this season, and a lot of new tracks too. So we've done a couple of road racing tracks, some dirt tracks, just not something that I'm great at. So had a good consistent season. First race of the playoffs. I think it was a tough race, but real proud of this RBS racing team. We were able to get a win and a podium here tonight. There's a couple of things on that race. I qualified in the back, so that was I was 3 or 4 tenths off the pace. Was able to work my way up to the front, and then got shuffled back again for some technical difficulties at that first pit. So started back at 16th, back of the pack again. Was able to work my way back up and finish 3rd. So we'll take it.
Yeah, and you make a good point there. Even though you have maybe technical difficulties or just difficulties in general, whether that's being in an incident, a bad pit stop, just being able to continue on with the night and not be too, not let things get to you is, that's a good mindset and to be able to have in this playoff system. I mean, coming out with the 3rd place after those issues, having to go back to the front, that really sets you up for these playoffs to be in a good position. And I know we're going to be talking about it a lot in this interview and just over the next couple of weeks, but now that it's a playoff, trying to minimize mistakes, but also trying to, cap off on and, finish wherever you can if there is a mistake. What really does that do for your motivation and from a team standpoint?
Yeah, I think it just it kind of ups the pressure a bit. There's no wiggle room to have a bad night. So as we progress through the playoffs, obviously you don't want to get involved in something early, but you gotta have to take some risks. Just try to hold some track position and get aggressive if you need to. The one thing that's good about this league is people, even when people get aggressive, they know when to give a little bit of space. So even with a little bit of that tonight, I think everyone was real clean at the end. Even I almost gave up 3rd place there at the end. I went for 2nd. It's really hard to pass here. So I lost a bunch of momentum and almost gave up 3rd place there to Jason. I think it was probably 100th or even 1,000th of a second. It was really close. But yeah, I mean, that's how these playoffs are going to go. But yeah, real proud of this Toyota RBS D-Rex. It was real strong tonight.
Alrighty, Sean. Well, before I let you go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give or any sponsorships you'd like to thank or any last comments?
Yes. Yeah, I got to give a huge thanks to our car owners. That's Jackson B and Desiree. I got to say thanks to the RBS Racing team and Toyota for the support. And of course, Monster Energy Drink. I think I keep them in business single-handedly. So looking for a sponsorship any day now. Also, I got to say shout out to my teammate, Bud Shearer. We were really pushing hard out there. He's on a string of wins. He's really good in these Arca cars. So I think he's going to go deep into these playoffs, and I'm hoping that we have a good showing here to finish out the first round of the playoffs next week.
Alrighty, well, thank you for being able to take a minute to speak with us. And hopefully we can continue this these streaks with you, some of you playoff drivers, and wish you the best of luck as these playoffs continue to advance on.
Fantastic, and thank you both to being up in the booth. I think your streams are great, so appreciate what you do, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully talk to you then.
Alrighty, and I like the plan for that. Thank you.
All right, take it easy.
That's Sean Burke finishing up in third place, and it's always good to be able to see these playoff drivers finish in decent positions, whether that's top 3 or top 5. And obviously, we're not going to get away from the topic of Bud Shear at all, probably in these next couple of weeks. But with the domination out of him tonight, I mean, it's pretty hard, like I've been saying all night tonight, to not pick him as the championship favorite. And 5 wins in the season. Able to hear from Sean Burke as well. I think these two drivers, being able to hear what they have to say and going on through these, at least this first round, it's going to be interesting to watch. And both sound like they have a championship mindset at this point.
Yeah, they definitely do. And looking at the points after tonight, one race remains in this round with Gateway, and from P7 to P11, that bubble is separated by 4 total points. So no one is safe except Bud. Like, it is so close. I mean, even Sean Burke, who just got a third place tonight, I mean, he is only good by 5 points. Yeah, 5 points from Sean Burke, who's second in points, all the way to Rusty Jordan, who's in 8. So this is anyone's. I mean, no one is safe except Bud Shear, who locked himself in with that win. So we were talking about Robert Kahn. I mean, he was our defending champion. He's 10th right there. He is out by 3 points right now. So what I'm getting with this is Gateway is going to be an exciting race. That's a very physical track. It's a very high-speed track that races like a short track. So anyone's game there. I think we're going to see some guys get physical if it comes down to it. Obviously, we do have that wild card, as each round does provide a wild card. So will be interesting to see who gets in via that way as well. But we're going to have a couple drivers sent home next week, and I can't wait to see how all of this turns out.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's going to be an interesting race next week, and I'm excited for it as well. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and, look at the race results, and then we'll finish up the rest of the topics, and we'll try and give a rundown for next week. So we'll be back in just a moment, so stay tuned.
From humble beginnings to raising the future, achieving success along the way. We'll never back down, because we are here to race.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
To get the most eyes on your vehicle, you need the best that the rest will see. At Lightning Wraps, you get the best at an affordable price compared to the rest. Be sure to check us out on Facebook for more information.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, into the Lightning eSports Arca Series. Just wrapping things up from Chicagoland Speedway here tonight. Once again, I'm Oscar Johnson, joined by Bryce Shoemaker. And Bryce, that was a pretty fun race from start to finish. Butcher, dominating performance from him all night. Saw a few drivers who may have had a shot there. One being the 17 of Timothy Kazi. Obviously, wasn't able to... Oh, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Wasn't able to... I'm sorry, folks. I hit something on my keyboard, and now I'm hearing a lot of Windows notifications. Wasn't able to get it... I'm so sorry. Timothy Kazi wasn't able to pull through and get it done all the way. But still, I mean, a lot of these drivers able to have good nights. Obviously, we heard from Sean Burke, who had a fantastic run as well, able to finish off third. And we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at these race results real quick before we get too far away. Bud Shear. Oh, I see what it is. Sorry, folks. Bud Shear, obviously with the race win. Timothy Kazi in second. Sean Burke in third. Then we have Jason Henry, Barry Nelson. Those are your top 5 drivers. Heading down through the list, we have Jeffrey Ledford, Michael Ware, Michael Chanel, then Orrin Russell and Rusty Jordan, who are be the top 10. Heading on to page number 2, Brandon Cookhausen, Christian Shriver, Robert Kahn, Jesse Fox, Kevin Baker. Those are your top 15. And then running out the field would be Sebastian Chanel, Mike Rideout, Truth Oak, Chantel, and then Hayden. And not, the best night for Hayden there in 20th. We saw him at least get up in one incident super hard and then had that moment there with, I think it was Robert Kahn, and able to hang on to it, but just unfortunately not the luck that he needed for tonight's race. And as we go on through here, and the last few things that we'll go over, obviously the race next week at Gateway, also known as Worldwide Technology Raceway, that'll be 80 laps. Pretty similar time conditioning from tonight for next week. And Bryce, I think it's a little bit of a different track, and I say little. It's a completely different track from what we saw here tonight. And do you have any predictions for what we'll see heading into next week?
I'm honestly not sure. I've never raced this new Arca car at Gateway, so it'll be definitely very interesting to see how the tires fall off or how the handling characteristics will change throughout a run. But like I said earlier, I think with how tight the points are, depending on how the cautions fall, how the race plays out, I think we'll definitely see a more physical race. As I hinted, from 2nd to 11th in points, they're only separated by 9 points. So every point matters, and yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna see. It's gonna all depend on how that car handles and how the cautions fall out. Because we get a caution-free race. I think it'll be pretty spread out for how Gateway runs, and we'll see the best drivers be up front. But we get that late race caution. You better strap those belts tight because anything's going to be on the table there.
And that's 100% correct. Anything can happen and will happen in these playoffs, and that's gonna be an interesting way to out round number 1 in these playoffs. And with that, I don't really think I have anything else to add. Again, congratulations to Butch here on the race win tonight. And overall, a great race, and can't wait for next week. Again, same time next week. We're gonna wrap things up here for the time being, and hopefully we can see you guys next week. Again, that is Gateway, also known as Worldwide Technology Raceway, and we will see you guys next week.
From humble beginnings to raising the future, achieving success along the way. We'll never back down, because we are here to race.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
To get the most eyes on your vehicle, you need the best that the rest will see. At Lightning Wraps, you get the best at an affordable price compared to the rest. Be sure to check us out on Facebook for more information.